Welcome to Q&A with Qlik. Today we're going to be talking about analytics app development. Just to introduce myself, my name's Troy Rainey. I help put together videos and webinars like this one. We've got perhaps a familiar expert panel for you today. Ula, why don't you tell us quickly a little bit about yourself?
Sure, thank you. My name is Ola, and I've been with Qlik for 8 years in the industry, a little bit longer than that. And I work as a content producer and developer. So I develop trainings that are available on Qlik Learning platform, and also a background as a technical trainer.
Great. And Patrick?
Yeah, my name is Patrick Lundblad. I work in design. My background is slightly different. I'm from academics, so I've done studies and research in visualization, joined Qlik, working mainly visualization, but also app development, sheets, dashboards, things like that.
Awesome. Well, when you registered for this session, you had an opportunity to submit some questions at a time. So we've got a few of those we'll address first, but if you have any questions, you can go ahead and enter them in the Q&A tool. First question: how to troubleshoot and prevent objects with complex expressions from locking up memory for two or more users? Sounds like that's probably related to on-prem client-managed Qlik Sense. Anyone want to address that?
So I know we had one issue recently with on-prem where if the calculation became too complex, it would go from doing multiple actions at the same time to just focusing on that calculation. Believe it's been fixed and looked at and so on. So if that's
Okay.
the case, that's one thing. Another thing is to, of course, troubleshoot your complex expressions, see what it is that takes time, see if you can simplify it, dumb it down, and similar. Yeah.
But basically, that there was a defect and it's
Yeah.
been fixed. So perhaps upgrading could solve that problem. Okay. Next question. This is a long one. We have a date problem with direct query in Qlik Cloud. Dates and timestamps are displayed correctly in tables, but not in the filter. They are numeric. If we filter a date value or timestamp in the table, the visualization is corrupt. The Snowflake database provides us with, for example, we've got a few fields. Final workday is date, last event date time is timestamp. Also, an additional formatting via toDate and toTimestamp does not fix the problem. So it looks like they've done some troubleshooting, but
So I would say being part of the designing those objects and so on, anytime an object becomes corrupt, it's a good time to reach out to support, to Qlik and talk to us about what had happened, because there may be things in product that we don't support, but we should never be destructive and actually corrupt objects and so on. So it would be interesting to see a support case on this and see what's the reason would be.
yeah, that's a great idea. Especially, yeah, if anything's corrupt, I totally agree. Next question. Can you explain how the new anonymous access is supposed to work? Does this mean you can have anonymous in addition to IDP?
So it isn't my area, but we have a video that I think Troy could link, since this was a pre-submitted one. And one thing to think about when it comes to anonymous access is that it's on its own region. So you can't actually just add anonymous access to your current tenant and have a mixture of your own IDP and anonymous users. Instead, you're going to have to create a new tenant on the region that we have for anonymous access. And the video here guides you on how you can take one app from one tenant, putting it in the other tenant, and enabling so that that app becomes available to anyone with that anonymous access link. So it's slightly different than just saying that one app on your current tenant is just available.
Great, thank you for clarifying that. And I've posted the link to the video, so that should be helpful for anybody who has time to go through that. Next question. What's the latest feature added to Cloud Analytics?
So last week in my area, we actually added a new navigational panel, a new menu. If you're slightly confused about this, we did something new. We did a regional rollout, which meant that we started rolling out this feature on, I believe, Tuesday to the Asia Pacific area. APAC. And then on the next day went to Europe and then to America and so on. So that's why you saw some people started posting on LinkedIn and maybe it wasn't available for you at that moment. So I'm going to share my screen and I can show you a little bit
Sure.
about how it works because it does some things that you might need to be aware about. So it's an object. It's available like any other object in your asset panel. So in here, I think you have the navigational menu and an improved tab container. So you can add this navigational menu to your sheet. And what it will do is that it will auto-populate with the current sheets that you have that are public. So in my app right now, I have a couple of private sheets and I have a couple of public sheets. And within the public sheets, I'm on cloud. So I'm using the group functionality that's available since a while. And I've created a couple of sheets in here and I grouped a couple of them together. So just go in here, I can move between KPI dashboard, straight table report. I can go to my sales analysis sheet and so on. And whenever I go in here and I update the sheets that are available, for example, I could unpublish sales rep performance. Then if I go back into navigation menu, you can see that it disappears. So it's not something where you go into your data panel and you add in sheets one by one. Instead, what we're trying to do is mimic what's available in the built-in asset panel, and it's available in here. And then, of course, there's a lot of styling options available to it. You can have it as a horizontal navigational bar, a vertical navigational bar. Also have to go in here because I linked it and put it on multiple ones. And you can also do things like a drawer, having it as a button. When you click on a button, it shows up on the side so that it doesn't take that much space. And a lot of styling options when it comes to background colors, fonts, highlight colors, etc. So hopefully an object that you like, that's makes it a bit easier to navigate around complex dashboard with multiple sheets, multiple groups, and so on. And it's also available or will be available on Client Manage in the November release, together with ability to group sheets together in the new groups that we created.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Next question. How should we go about developing themes? I've used Sense theme before, which is great, but costs money for all of its features. Is there any Qlik specific resource I can use to develop a theme?
I do not believe we have anything right now that's Qlik specific. It's something we have on the roadmap. So if good time for you, Troy, to talk about how you can actually get things on the roadmap and how you can get it higher ranked.
Sure.
So it is of
Yep.
interest to us, and it would be good to get your feedback and your interest in it.
A great feature of Qlik Community is ideation. You can find it under support on the left, ideation, browse and suggest. That's how I got here. Here is where you're able to suggest features for existing products, new capabilities, changes or improvements, and see suggestions that other people have voted for, suggested, and vote for them, and increase the visibility of those ideas. I've had this open for a while, so I lost connection, but there is a Qlik Sense app here where you can browse and view through suggestions that have already been submitted, vote for them, and see how things have progressed towards actually getting them inserted into the product. And you see these are sorted by the number of votes. So I know our product management team does keep a close eye on this and weighs things heavily when customers vote for things. So definitely check that out, and I'll post that link into the chat. Next question. When will that nav bar be available to Qlik Sense Enterprise on-prem? The one you were just highlighting.
So that should be in the November release, which on the top of my mind, I can't remember which date that is. But assuming this.
Yeah. Okay, great. Next question. This was from the chat, so I just want to go through and make sure I don't forget it. We're using Qlik Cloud, and the current session timeout is 30 minutes, if I'm not wrong. Is there a way to increase the session timeout? I think there was a follow-up.
It's not possible to do that today, but there is a quite recent blog post, or not recent, but there is on Qlik community with a link to the ideation platform that just showed with some suggestions on that. So, but not possible today. I'll
Fantastic.
send the link in the chat.
Great. All right, that's the link to ideation, and here's the link from Ula where
I see, yeah.
it's discussed.
The second part of that question, when if you have two different tabs of Qlik in the browser and it duplicates the same session, that is by design. So that's how it works. Sorry, I see. Sorry, Patrick. Maybe I said something wrong there.
Continue saying, and I can say
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, but they would they also wondered if you can open two different tabs with different selections. And the developer side of me would say that you can solve this through setting stuff in different states to solve that problem. So you could have your visualization set in one state in one tab and another state in another tab, thereby kind of decoupling them from the associative engine in that perspective. Maybe using the wrong terminology, but maybe Patrick, you have something to add there as well.
So as Ola said, the idea would be that you as a user can log in through multiple systems. You can be on your mobile, you can be on a tablet, you can be on a computer, you can be on multiple computers. You share the same session, you share the same selection. I've done it a few times on presentation. We've actually done selections on my mobile, having them mirrored on the computer, showing up on the big screen. But there are some hacks in the products, and I'm going to share and show a web page. I can share my screen by Arturo, who made it a couple of years ago, where he talked about the URL hacks that are available in the product. So for example, you can change what language you're looking at without having to go into a menu, but just doing /language. You have some options, developer options in there also. You can change the theme by just doing /theme and then the ID of the theme. You can also do something called identity / and then something in there. So in the case here, I have the same app open in two different tabs, and I would have an identity for myself here. If I go in and type identity / random text or something, and now when I'm connecting to the app, I'm actually opening up a new session with this identity in here. Now, I haven't tested this for a while, in many years, so it was just something I remembered. If I go in here and if I do a couple of selections, you can see they show up here, but they don't show up on this one until I actually just go and do /identity and add it on top of here, random text, misspelled. And now I'm in the same session again. So /identity will allow you to create multiple sessions. Now, if that's the best way of doing it, instead of using alternate states, etc., can be debated. And I'll post a link to the Qlik Sense URL hacks in the chat. And I can't say if everything in here is supported or not. It's yeah.
Well, it's nice to know
been
what's
posted
possible.
by employees, so that's the good part.
Yeah, exactly. Great. I'll just share that. There's that post. Fantastic. Next question. What chart type do you recommend for visualizing a process with parallel running sub-processes? I want to try displaying when in time a sub-process started step 1, step 2, and then ended. So I guess they're looking at maybe, I feel like I've seen that kind of visualization in the past.
I would say it's not something that's native. It's
No,
probably you could do a stack bar chart into a Gantt chart.
it's
Patrick
exactly what I've
Nordstrom has
seen.
done a couple of those tips and tricks posts where I think he has one of them that is the Gantt chart.
Yeah. See if we can dig up a link, but you could probably also find it if you Google, Qlik Gantt chart.
Yep.
That's been demonstrated a few times. Okay, moving on to the next question. How to utilize Qlik Analyzer capacity license by default? I have analyzer capacity, but not able to consume for newly added users by default. Any suggestions? That's a good question. I feel like that's somewhere in the
I mean,
on the console.
yeah, it's in the console. I just have, I don't have the console up here right now, but it should be, feels like that should be set by default, but I'm a little bit unsure. Any idea there, Patrick?
Nope,
No.
not an area. I haven't administered many tenants, I can tell you that.
I've got a tenant open. I'm just going to take a quick look at the settings for that, but I don't think I have capacity licensing set up. Let's see.
Let me look into it and see if we can get back to that question.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, next question. I wonder what visualization you would recommend to give insights into density distributions. In a free world, I'd turn to violin plots. For example, R using
Yeah.
ggplot library. But Qlik does not provide such a visualization out of the box, or it's not easy to digest and can look the same even if distributions are very different.
So I
So,
think it depends on the amount of data you have. I mean, we have the histogram that you can use instead of the violin plot. Problem is
ah,
that it's more of a, yeah, you're creating the classes. It's, I mean, a violin plot at each part of the axis, you check what is the density of the data there, while a histogram more clumps it together. I can show you another type of chart, but it has this density problem. That's why I'm saying that if it's more than 1,000 data points, maybe it's not that useful. But I can share my screen and I can show you what's called a distribution plot. So if I go to a new sheet in here, and if I go into the charts, I have something called a distribution plot in here. And I can add in something like customer names, and I want to look at sales. And only undefined values, of course. Actually, was probably, let's remove that sales. Just do some sales instead. I'm playing around a lot with different meshes here for another thing. There we go. So a distribution plot is just a strip plot, dot plot in other products. You can have it on an axis from the minimum value to the maximum value. Each area here will have a point on it. The problem with here, as I said, with the density is that many points on top of each other makes it really hard to see what's available. So in presentation, you can, for example, as a first step, just reduce the bubble size to get more bubbles in there. But you can also jitter them to see here how many data values are available at each place. So it's not the same thing as a violin plot, because a violin plot would, for each area, show the amount of values in there. But it is one option is in that direction. What I really like about this chart is that you can also add in on the y-axis here, for example, customer segments. And now I can see here for my 4 different customer segments, for all my customer names, what is the density across here. So yeah, corporate, quite a lot of density down here towards the end, but also spreading out here, what is the highest value, what is the lowest value, and so on. So it is not a violin plot, but it is something to show distribution.
great,
Yep.
thanks. And I just want to highlight that we got an answer to that question about entitlement management from the audience. So here is a link to Qlik Help, our documentation all about how to automatically assign the appropriate entitlement that you're looking for, whether it's capacity or otherwise. So there's that. Next question. For all those tools from Qlik Cloud making dashboards nice and neat, when will those be available for Qlik Enterprise on Windows? And I feel like their next release is in November, later this month. We're not exactly sure what date, but should be in a few weeks is the next release. So
Yeah.
keep a lookout for that.
And if you are on Qlik community, we have a technical pre-release where now Patrick Nordstrom, my colleague, has posted what's the latest and greatest in visualization, what the new objects we're releasing, what improvements we're doing, what styling capabilities we're adding. So anything in there of visualization, styling, layouting should be both on cloud as well as coming to on-prem in the latest version.
Awesome. Okay, next question. We use Qlik Sense on-prem, the client managed. We see a risk in security. In the prod environment, we previously had create app button enabled, and some users created apps, but then we realized that it meant they could enter the script editor and access data sources, so we removed the create app button. But now they still have their access on those already created apps visible in work streams, and we see no way of stopping them from accessing data using the script editor. Any suggestions? So it looks like they need to adjust permissions of people who previously had access to those apps.
Yeah. Potentially delete them, I guess.
It's been a while since I was looking at on-prem, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure in the management console in the QMC, you can go in and adjust permissions of specific apps or even streams.
Hmm.
So you just need to go and remove those specific users if you're aware of who they are. But that's a good question. Okay, next one. Are there any ongoing developments or methods for creating Gantt charts on Qlik Sense? It's a popular chart type.
So it comes back to the previous answer. Go into ideation, find the Gantt chart ID in there and upvote it, comment on it. That helps development, that helps roadmap prioritization.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. And it comes up a lot. There's definitely ways to build a Gantt chart, but it would be nice if it was out of the box. So please vote for that. Next question. I currently using the layout container object with Qlik Cloud, and I have a couple of charts and a pivot table inside it. When I try to make a pivot table slash chart full screen, it's simply not working or the visualization breaks. Is this a known issue?
So it is a known limitation that objects within layout container you cannot full screen. Two things here. We are working on making the sheet what you call a free-form canvas. So you don't have to use a layout container just to be able to have objects overlapping or more dense control and things like that. So in the future, yes, when you can actually put it on the screen on the sheet directly, then you would be able to full screen it, but currently not now inside the layout container. If you want, and this is more of a workaround, you could add in the same object as a full screen inside the entire layout container, use a hide show condition, and use a button next to it, and just when the user clicks the full screen button, change a variable, show the full table, and then hide it when the user closes it. But I would say that's more of a workaround.
Great, thanks. Okay, next question. Could you please cover the easiest and most reliable methods of avoiding synthetic keys in the data model?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So recap on synthetic keys for everybody. That's a synthetic key occurs when you have two fields with the same name in different tables, because we want to connect on a key field or a concatenated key field. That's when you take two key fields and put them together to create a new key to be able to get the best out of the data model. But if you have different tables that both have, for example, address and name. You can have a customer table and a supplier table where everybody has an address and a postal number. We'll start connecting those together, creating synthetic keys. Now, you can use something called qualify and unqualify, where if you type in the qualify syntax, it'll put the table name as a prefix in front of all the fields, thereby eliminating the automatic connection. And then you can just unqualify the fields that you actually want to use to connect those to, if it's a customer number or a product number or something like that. And then the fields inside of your application later on will also have the name of the table in front of them. So that's probably the easiest way to do it.
Perfect. Thank you. And next question. Can I store the table into a SharePoint folder using Qlik Sense Enterprise on Windows?
Yes, if you use Qlik Enterprise Sense, you can use the SharePoint, the Office 365 SharePoint connector, which we have in our connector, built-in our connectors. And if you are on Qlik Cloud, you can use application automation to do that.
Great. Thank you. All right. Next. The distribution among different classes do the trick. They mentioned that Vislib is offering a ridgeline chart that's generally going to do in the right direction, but it does not treat the x-axis as continuous.
Yeah, I can take that one.
Yeah,
So
that's
it comes back to my colleague Patrick
great.
Nordstrom, who is really good at finding the ways of building charts using the native charts. So I'll share my screen if that's okay. Are you there, Troy?
Yeah, I was losing internet there, but
Yep. I can share my screen if that's okay.
please.
So I find this old Qlik community post by Patrick Nordstrom. Let's make new charts with Qlik Sense. So it has a list of what are all the native charts in here. It also has a list of how can you make a specific chart, like the Gantt chart we talked about, or in the case of here, I think it was the ridgelines chart. Let's see, Control F, find ridgeline in here. Yeah, the ridgeline chart, this tips number 3, and it has a link to the app or the web page where it talks about how to make that. So you could use the native charts to create that ridgeline post chart, and I'll post a link in the chat to that web page.
Great.
And that would have the continuous axis on the x-axis.
All right, I will just repost that to everybody. All right, thank you. Try and figure out where we are. All right, next question. We have dashboards with default actions that select specific products and lock these selections. Is there a way to display the sheet with this dashboard only if the selection is applied? Additionally, if a user accidentally clears the selection, we want to apply a default bookmark that redirects the user to the landing page. We were able to achieve this in Qlik View, but haven't found a way to do it in Qlik Sense.
So that's probably using in Qlik View, it's probably using the triggers or actions. So they are available on open up a sheet, on clicking a button, but it's not available on when a selection changes, for example. What I would do today is that I would use the new tab container that we released on Cloud a couple of 2 weeks ago or something like that, and that I believe is coming on the November on-prem release. And you can use the tabs there as in having one tab showing a layout container, because you can now have layout containers inside tab container. Actually, no, we're working on that one. I would say come back in a month or so. Then you're gonna be able to have a layer container inside a tab container, and then you could have one tab with the dashboard. You can have another tab with the buttons or explanation or telling the user that they need to do something. But there's no way of adding in a trigger that takes you to a certain sheet based on a selection changing. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. I have a set expression. Uh, it's a long expression. It's all about fiscal year, month, and fiscal month, and having that calculated against sales quantity. On the straight table dimension added is month. How do I change this so that when users select other months, the table does not filter out the rest? This is a good question. For
Yeah.
example, fiscal year starts in July, and the filter panel, when users select September, the table should include July, August, and September.
Yeah. So it's really fun and challenging to go through a set analysis without having buttons to push to see how it works. But what I just looking at it really quick, somewhere in the middle there's a fiscal year where you're applying an expression inside of that fiscal year that selects the max value out of the fiscal year. So how many months you select, or sorry, how many years you select, you're going to select the highest year there. So that's where I would start looking at it. And there's also a great Textpert talks on the subject as well, if you want to learn more about how to build set analysis, right, Troy?
Yeah, I'm just posting a link to it there. And Ola went through this back in March. And that was the use of Max, right?
That's use of max and use of dollar sign expansions, which is
Yeah.
just before the use of max. So it's the dollar sign expansion that you need to look at in this specific set analysis.
Well, this is a great recording to go through. Ola goes through it, builds it from one step to the next, so it's very clear by the time you get to the use of variables and expansions. But if you're already familiar with it, you could zip to that portion of the video and see how that is done. But that's a great resource. Next question. Apply map now works without requiring the source table having the preceding mapping prefix. This feature is not documented but adds significant efficiency to our ETL as a mapping load is not optimized. Uh-oh. Is this an unintended feature that may break in future upgrades? Confirmed February 24, Qlik Sense Enterprise on Windows and Cloud. Are you guys familiar with that?
Um,
Sounds like a little bit
I
on the integration side when we're talking about ETL.
Yeah, I think sorry, this is an official channel, so thinking shouldn't be part of it maybe. But I think that I've heard something about this in the back of my head.
Okay.
I can confirm or deny, but I think, yeah, I've heard something about this being by design at least. But I can't really pinpoint where I heard that. So we'll have to wait and see. You can always post on Qlik community and ask them the question there. Hopefully.
Yeah, speaking of Qlik Community, it's a great resource, and often one of the best tools is right here in the middle, where you can search across various forums, knowledge-based articles, YouTube videos, and Qlik Help documentation. But the forums up here, filtered by data integration or analytics, and there's sub-channels to get more specific for your questions. But we've got over 200,000 users on Qlik Community. So a lot of employees and experts and partners. So hopefully if you post your question there, you'll be able to get some helpful responses. So definitely check out those forums. Next question. We're planning to introduce short user guides using the video player object. It works well in Qlik Sense desktop, but it doesn't function in the cloud. Are there any additional settings that need to be configured by the admin? Additionally, if the video is stored on a secure SharePoint, how can we enable Qlik Sense Cloud to display those videos? It's a good question.
So in general, when trying to load content from on cloud from a place that is outside, you have to go into Qlik Cloud Management Console. You have to go to the approval list and usually add in what is the URL to the place where this is being stored. I think you also have to change some content policies. I think it's documented in the help web pages, or I think I've seen guides on it at least. When it comes to SharePoint, I haven't tried it, so I wouldn't be able to say if there's a login needed or so on. But usually if something doesn't show up and it is a URL, it's because it hasn't been approved to fetch content from that URL or using that policy.
Great. That's a really good tip, actually, to search on Qlik Help to see if you can find some solution or settings that might be affecting that behavior. Next question, is it possible to display pictures via URL instead of loading them directly within the app?
Good question. And this depends on where is it that you want the picture to be shown. So I just went to the update list and we have added pictures by URL to both the new table and the new PO table that will be available in the November release. Or actually, they have been available for a while, but the updates are being available now. So you can use that. If we're talking about using it on a sheet or on a background of a chart, we also added it on the 8th of October to our cloud, and that should also be in the November release. If we're talking about using image somewhere else, for example, in the app thumbnail or in the sheet thumbnail, no, I don't believe that's supported yet. So, but if it's in the background of a chart, if it's inside a table, etc., yes, it's on its way in November release, or has been out of cloud for a little bit.
That's great. Okay, next question. In the load editor of a new app, modifying the set date format and set timestamp format causes date fields to come in as null, basically dash. Not sure if this is the correct form for this issue, but
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to working and modifying the date format and so on, if you want to change the date format, you in that part of the script, you need to follow a correct syntax to get that to work. That is the first place I would look to if it works. You can control if your formatting works by creating a temporary table inside of the script, and inside of that table formatting the date string in the format that you're trying to make work. And if it works, you'll know that the format is in the correct way. You can also reference the guide to see how the different formatting syntax, or how the formatting syntax works. But generally speaking, the formatting that is there is the formatting that's on the server of the installation. At least if we're talking about the Sense on-prem, it'll take the date format that's on the server that the product is installed on.
Great. Thank you. Next question. We have a requirement to not only view visualizations, but also see how our websites look within the dashboard. In Google Data Studio, we can embed a web page. Is there a similar option to embed web pages directly in Qlik?
Currently, no, not that I can think of. So it would be you would have to do a mashup or something by yourself and then adding that in. But there is no web viewer or web chart or object.
Yeah. But again, that could be a good suggestion for ideation.
Definitely.
Next question is looking for a follow-up on a specific community post about mapping
It was
indicators still required.
the one on mapping load, which we were talking about a little bit earlier, and we were a little bit unsure if you don't need the map, but there's a link to a community article on it. So I would say keep an eye out on that one.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Is there a way when loading an XML file to access the value of an attribute of the parent element? I don't think there is, but maybe you could actually load in the file location, maybe, and then maybe like depending on where it's stored, I guess. Or what do you guys think?
Not certain at all.
No, yeah, I don't have any more input to that either.
Moving
I
into
haven't seen
file,
anything.
yeah, it's directly to the file. Oh, somebody's adding that Talend might make that possible, and the Qlik Talend Cloud. So
Yeah.
take a look there. Next question, how best to connect to Python script in Qlik Cloud?
It would be using app automation and APIs. I think we have a lot of various different connectors for app automation, where there are some connectors to ML services and stuff like that. And I think that we have some connection to. Just need to double check the name of it, but that's using the connectors on through app automation.
Great idea.
There is a page on community, I think it is, where all the connectors are listed that we have access to. And I'm going to look that up for you.
Okay, thanks. I just realized a question slipped through to the chat, and I just don't want to forget about it. They're experiencing the locking issues. Perhaps that was the one that was pre-submitted. Just want to address it again. The objects work fine with small data sets, but as soon as we increase the time frame for the data, a bigger data set, we get a locking or freezing up. What tools besides telemetry app should we use to analyze the objects and try and troubleshoot or optimize? I think we talked about that at the beginning of the session.
Yeah, so we talked about there has been a bug where things locks up, or if there is a very complex calculation and you will actually not have other people doing things like being able to do things. When it comes to tools on cloud, we have the built-in performance that you can use, and also there are tools out there for analyzing your expressions. Yeah, I can't on top of my mind, I can't remember the name right now, but there
Yeah,
are external tools out there for looking at an app, looking at the how complex the expression is and what takes time.
I appreciate that refreshing my memory that that was a known issue and that
Mm.
upgrading will probably resolve the issue if since they're running Qlik Sense Enterprise on Windows. Uh, Next question. It's regarding a topic on Qlik Community, 3D warehouse model in Qlik Sense.
Yeah, we don't have anything native right now, not that I know of at least. So this would be either through custom extensions or going and requesting it on ideation. I don't know if Patrick knows something that I don't here, but
No.
no.
Well, we get a lot of great ideas from users, so please post this on ideation so other people can vote for it, and hopefully we'll get that added. Next question, can
I
we?
was going to say that we
Yep.
got from one of the participants. So the external product analyze your apps is called QSDA Pro. I think that's Qlik Sense Document Analyzer that's available.
Fantastic. Thank you for catching that. Next question, could we customize our tenant-wide home pages with branded logo and colors? Can that
Uh,
be in themes?
Currently, no. The team functionality right now
Oh,
is mainly
tenant-wide.
for the
Yeah.
dashboard. And when they're saying tenant, I'm thinking they're talking about the cloud.
Hmm.
I'm just going to say more to come in that area. And that's always ideation to see if there's an idea in there, or if not, add your idea, get you to vote on it.
Yeah, good catch. But there's definitely a lot of customization available for the apps, but when it
Yeah.
comes to the console itself. Next question. Will app automation connectors ever use the data gateway? Uh, can't they now? Because the data gateway connects to your tenant, use app automation on the tenant. Am I missing something?
I think because we use data gateway within the script editor and stuff like that. So I think it's if that is available within the app automation interface as well.
Okay.
And that's one of these questions that I'm a little bit unsure if it is or not, but please go to ideation if something that you want to see. If it's not available today, I haven't seen anything on the roadmap that could say anything else instead. So I
Okay.
can't see. I don't. Yeah.
Well, we're getting a lot of great questions. Let's see if we can get through them before we run out of time. Do you have any recommendations or documentation for making data restrictions to specific people?
It depends on I mean, if you want to look at making restrictions for specific people, it's using section access, where you can limit access on your data model on either a column or a row level. There's some syntax that's connected to that, which you set inside the script, where you list all the users that you have, and then you can connect those so they get access to certain tables or columns or just certain rows within that. So you can limit the access to different regions, for example, if you have a sales app.
Yeah,
So
there's
that's
a
yeah.
lot of possibilities there. This is turning out to be a really interactive session because we got an answer to a previous question from a user that there is something on how to rebrand a tenant, but for OEM tenants currently, but there's something out there. And this is on Qlik Dev. I'll throw that link out there just to help if you want to start down that path. But someone else has had this issue. So there's at least a solution for OEM tenants. Next question. We use Qlik connectors such as Google Ads to fetch data. Occasionally, the API returns a 500 error, but we haven't found a way to catch this error and automatically retry fetching the data. Is there a solution for handling errors like this in Qlik? Hmm.
I think this depends if it's on-prem or on cloud, as
Yeah.
usual. One thing we are working on, not gonna say when it happens and so on, is uh, what's called be able to have one load influence when the next load comes. So the task chains.
Mm-hmm.
And part of task chaining would be if something is not working, then it would trigger something else. So I believe that in task chaining, when it comes to cloud, you will be able to then retry and so on. Or you could use app automation to see what the result would be and then try to redo it. But there is no, as far as I know, no built-in inside the schedule that retry until succeeded right now.
Yeah, but I was thinking about that with app automation. How there must
Yeah.
be a way. I feel like I've seen that, but like you say, it's not quite out of the box. Next question. We currently have Qlik Sense Enterprise May 2024, the latest patch working on our prod and dev environments. I see you guys have posted November 2024 as a technical preview. What do you mean with that? What is the technical preview, I guess?
It is a preview. It is not the full release. The full release will come later in November. but it is a way for you and other users and customers to test a release before it comes out, to download, for example, the desktop, load in one of your usual apps and see how it works, how it feels, how it behaves. But it is, so it's not a beta, but it's more a way of us giving you an early access to this the new version. And I think it also has good when it comes to technical partners and things like that. If you're a partner, then you can download a preview. You can test your own extensions, your own tools that you develop before your end user, your customer might download and upgrade their own server. So yeah, it is a preview. It contains most of the functionality. Some things may be added up after the preview has ended.
Great. Next question. Is it possible to integrate Qlik Sense Enterprise with Chat GPT for various purposes? For example, to ask questions about my data model or to apply best practices. Uh, Sounds like a good
Well,
opportunity to talk about Qlik Answers.
yeah, exactly. I'll
Except it's
just
enterprise.
yeah, it's not in Qlik Sense Enterprise. So Qlik Cloud is the platform where we have these kind of possibilities already in the product. There is a connector to the OpenAI, for example, that you can connect to. It's free from us, but you need to pay OpenAI to use that. That's on Qlik Cloud, and then we have Qlik Answers as our product, our own GPT-esque product where you can load in various different data sources and start querying that as well. There's also Insight Advisor, which provides similar functionality when looking at your application. You can use natural language to talk to your visualizations.
Great.
Get back to that.
Great. Great answers. Next questions. We'll see if we can get through the last few. Thanks for all the answers. When I apply a theme in an application, the mashup using the objects of this app are not modified with the colors of the theme that I applied. Is there anything to change in the mashup? I guess.
So when you're doing a mashup, if you're, for example, embedding charts or if you're embedding sheets, part of the string that you're using for embed has a section that is theme equals, and then the name of theme. If I can share my screen, I'll just show it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use the cloud version because I don't have on-prem right now. So, for example, if I want to share this scatter plot in here, if I click on the share and the embed part here, you can see that one of the options in here is which theme to be used together with this embed. And when I change that one in here, you can, for example, change to the default, which is using the same as the app, or you can change to a specific one. And then when I look at the embed code, if I have the default in here, if I paste it into here, oh, it actually doesn't show up here then. Let's actually change it to one of the others. So let's do Breeze. It was a while since that was released. You can see here, one part of the thing here is which theme to use as part of the embed code. So I would guess, look at your embedding, see if you have theme specified and if this is the default one or if it's a specific one.
Perfect. Next question. We really like the newly released pivot table object in Qlik Cloud. However, it currently lacks options for reorganizing dimensions and sorting measures, which are key strengths of a native pivot table. Are there any plans to implement these functionalities in the new pivot table?
Yes, there are. It's being worked on.
Great. And
And I would also say that it's not going to be like the old pivot table, that is something you do within the object. It's more going to be like the new straight table, that is an exploration panel you have on the side where you can enable, disable dimensions, measures, and where you can move dimensions and measures between columns, rows, which order it comes in, and so on.
All right, and possibly the last question we have for today. Is it possible to get the table column names of the source system, not the one already provided by Qlik in the monitoring apps, which is showing the table column with the business names, or with the business names I renamed the app?
So this depends on, as usual, is it on-prem or is it cloud? I can show you what it is when it comes to cloud. We have something called lineage. If I share my screen, if I go to one of the sheets I had open, let's see which one I was. Yeah. For example, let's go to this sheet. On this line chart here, I have enabled something called show details. And what show details will do is we'll add this information icon up here. And I think this is available both on on-prem and on cloud. But what's different when it comes to cloud is that I can also not only see what dimensions measures being used in here, but I can also see the dependencies in here. So for example, I have a field in here called sales region, and I can click on the lineage, which will open up a new view where I can see where this one comes from. And if I see here that I have the app sales, the table I'm using it from, the name of the field, and then if I open up the source system, which is in this case happens to be an Excel spreadsheet, I can see that the actual name, the source table name would be region, and somewhere along the way here in the script, I rename it to sales region instead. But for on-prem, I don't believe we have the same type of lineage in there, but we have the show dependency or show the details. You would be able to see, yeah, which source system it comes from, or which table it comes from, but not the source system.
That is great. All right, we are running out of time. I'm posting a link to a survey about today's session.
We also got one
Yeah,
error variables in the chat.
Oh boy.
Last minute one.
Yeah, sure. Could you manage errors via the app script with error mode variable? And there's a link. I'll just share my screen again.
We've got a good audience today. I've never seen so many people help out.
There we go. And I'll post this link. Great. And I just want to thank our excellent panel. You guys rock. We've gone through a lot of questions today. I appreciate all the wonderful questions. I want to be able to end on time because I appreciate everyone's times joining us today. So thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.